Alright, hey dolls. I have wanted to start a podcast or car vlogs like this for a while now, because it's you know how whenever you're in the shower or something and you get all your great ideas, it's where you do a lot of your thinking. I do a ton of my thinking in my car, and it's where I've got all these great ideas, and I'm oh, I just need to turn the camera on and record myself and just say all my thoughts out loud. And I don't know why I haven't. I guess it's been not fear, but there's been some reason that I have not started. So I'm doing it right now. This might be a video and a podcast. I might just take the audio. I'm not sure yet, but this may be terrible. I don't know. It's not. No, you know what? It's not going to be terrible. We do not need any of that negativity. It's going to be great. I'm going to ramble and just talk about what's on my mind. So here we go. Let's see. Let's start with let's talk about my personal health, fitness, weight loss journey. So I am so passionate about health and fitness and beauty. If you follow me or know me, you know that. But growing up, I was always very health conscious, and I never was insecure. I'm not insecure now. I'm very confident. I think I'm beautiful. I love myself. But I think because everyone else, if you remember that scene in Mean Girls, or even Sex and the City, there's all the girls are picking themselves apart, and I thought I was supposed to think I was fat, right? I remember elementary school, I was oh, I'm so fat, because I wasn't as skinny as the teeny tiny petite girl. I was tall, but I was thin and healthy, and it was totally fine. And I just remember thinking I was supposed to be oh, I'm fat, or oh, I'm unhappy with myself, and that is not good. That is that's just not good. So moving on from there, when I was in high school, I still thought I was I am beautiful, but I was just I think I might have been having some body dysmorphia, maybe. I don't it. I had some eating disorders here and there. I would not eat, which is bad, or I'd try not to eat, and then I'd get really hungry, and then I would just eat the first thing that I saw, which I guess is technically binging, but that's not good either. That's unhealthy. And then I was trying to do things healthy, but I wasn't properly educated on what was good, I remember one time I was okay, I'm gonna go out. Juicing was really expensive. I did juice at one point. This was before juicing was really popular, and the only place you could get juice was ordering it from Blueprint Juices, and I wanted to so bad, but it was so expensive. I was high school. I was sophomore, junior in high school, right? So I always had I always, for the most part, wanted to do things in a healthy way. And I would just try to research on my own, and YouTube isn't what it is now, where you could there's so much information, and I'm so thankful for that, because I love researching this stuff without having to have gone through college or nutrition school or whatever. And so I actually ended up doing a few different things. Everyone dieted, and I was okay, well, you're supposed to do this and that, and there's just so many incorrect things now that I have so much more knowledge on it. And I one time got a bunch of those Bolt House smoothies and stuff, and I was gonna just have smoothies for the week, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, that sort of thing, and I was just gonna have smoothies. And one that's not sustainable, it was just gonna be for a week, right? It was just a diet, not a lifestyle. When I say diet nowadays, it's my lifestyle. It's my eating. It's not a temporary thing. But I wanted to, I guess, lose weight. But that was so much crap in that. Bunch of sugars, artificial stuff. It wasn't good for you. But I didn't know that, right? And so that was off on a tangent. anyways, I was like probably at my thinnest. I don't think I wasn't like anorexic, or like I guess I battled anorexia maybe like a little bit, because I would not eat a few times. I would make myself throw up after eating something, for feeling just simply bloated, and that's normal. When you eat something, your body might, so anyways, I was being a little extra hard on myself, and I was really working out way too much. I was running too many miles, and I ended up hurting my body. And then I had to take a break from all of that. I remember one night, actually, before all that happened, it was like midnight. I was like in the basement of my house, and I was like working out and like doing like push-ups and burpees and stuff, and like crying, because I was like, you're not where I want to be right now. Like, what is, and I won't say that like I hated myself, because I didn't, but I didn't love myself, and like I wasn't treating myself with love. That is because I did love myself, but I wasn't treating myself with love, and I wasn't being kind to myself. And I was like crying and just upset with where I was, and I was at my very thinnest, but I was not necessarily my healthiest, and especially not my mental health. And so then from there, I stayed pretty active. Right when me and Carter started dating, I was on the Asbury University's tumbling team, and so that was keeping me really active, but that stopped. I started eating out a lot more and not working out, because I had injured myself and I'm not able to move as much. And so the next few years I would kind of go to the gym here and there, and I was just eating out all the time. It was just so bad, and I felt awful. I was at my heaviest for sure, but I remember being at the beach with Carter, and we're sitting there, and I'm in a bikini, because even though I'm at my heaviest, I'm all this stuff. I was like, Carter, this isn't where I want to be. I said this out loud, right? We're at the beach, and I'm like, this isn't how I want my body to be. This isn't how I want to treat myself. Looks wise, I have, body goals, realistic. I have a dream body that I'm working towards, and I want to do it in a nice, healthy way, and I love myself. I think I'm beautiful. I was a little pudgy, and I was like, I love myself and I'm beautiful, and I think I'm actually sexy in a bikini on this beach right now, and he was like, you are, and that's just such the most positive way to look at it. And I don't like to say, I don't know why I have an issue with saying weight loss, because I don't feel like I was huge or fat. I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I'm not ashamed of where I was. I'm more sad that I wasn't treating my body with nourishing foods, and I was just feeding it fast food places, but I was kind of disappointed that I guess, I let myself go, and that was disappointing to me. But I was in such a good place, and I was ready to fix it in a healthy way. And I kind of accidentally did it slowly. I thought I accidentally was doing it the perfect healthy way, everyone says, you just make small changes, and I would be gung-ho, and then I'd pull back, gung-ho, and pull back. But I actually so I've never actually had I've always had pretty good skin. I never really suffered from acne. When I was in high school, I for sure had just normal hormonal or not hormonal, but I'm a teenager. I had a few pimples, and oh my gosh, I was so dramatic, and everyone and their mother had acne. All the YouTubers that I watched had acne, and everybody was on Accutane, and I was like, Mom, I have to go on Accutane. I have acne, and my mom didn't know any better, and so we went to the doctor, and they're like, okay, I can't believe the doctors were like, okay, you can go on Accutane, because what? So anyways, I literally, not knowing really anything about hormones or birth control or anything, but to be on Accutane, it's really intense, and I think you're supposed to be on 2 or 3 like birth controls, right? And I've never been on birth control. I'm like 14. I was, so I went on birth control. You start out with 1, right? Before you can even start Accutane. I started out with 1, and I had just finished my period, and 3 days later, my period started. And I was like, even though I didn't understand what that meant, my intuition was like, that is not a good thing that just happened, that you just started your period like 3 days after you just got off your period, right? So I was like, okay, I don't need this. I'm gonna like figure out how to deal with my skin, right? And it was perfectly, like, it all worked out fine and everything. I think actually I had found some holistic, like, YouTubers that I really loved, and I actually, like, what helped with the, like, just normal teenage pimples was honestly, like, oil cleansing. I just washed my face with oil, and I had great skin. And so oils are a huge part of my skincare routine, and that's a huge reason why, because oils are great for your skin. They're nourishing and heal you. Anyways, I digress. This is about body health and like weight loss. So I've never had issues with my face, but my back and shoulders would break out sometimes. I would have pimples on them, and I was like, what the heck? And then I was really sick for like 2 or 3 weeks and like barely ate because I was just throwing up, but my skin was cleared up. My intuition is telling me that it's something that I'm eating is making my skin break out. So I did some research, and I was like, well, I'll go get food allergy tested, but I was like, I'll just start an elimination diet all on my own. And so I start this elimination diet I did some research, and I was like, dairy. I've loved the idea of vegetarianism and veganism, so I was like, okay, we'll start with dairy. Boom, cleared it up, figured that out. And then, so even though in my head all this is happening, I can obviously tell that dairy was a cause of my skin issues. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna go get tested for it anyways. Well, there's not really like a good indicating lactose intolerance test, besides like kind of an inaccurate, to my understanding, an inaccurate breathalyzer something or other, or like you basically drink like a big gallon of milk and they see how you react, right? I had gone all the way to the doctor, and I was like, hey, I want to schedule a lactose intolerance test. And they were like, okay, it's blood work, all this stuff. I get there and I'm like, hi, I'm here for the lactose intolerance appointment. And they were like, oh, right, you want the blood work. And I get in there, and then the doctor comes in and is like, hi, what are you in here for today? And I was like, the lactose intolerance test. This is the actual doctor, right? She was like, lactose intolerance test. She pulls out her doctor computer and is like on the like official doctor version of like WebMD, and is like, she was like, I didn't know they had this. And I was like, what? And she's like, huh. She was like, but everybody else told you it was blood work? She's like, no, it's not really a blood work thing. And so the doctor has pulled up her fancy like official Dr. WebMD or whatever, and is like looking it up and telling me about like the breath thing and like the drinking a bunch of dairy basically. And she was like, so we can do these if you want, but she was like, if it makes your skin better and you don't feel, and you feel sick when you drink it, but you feel better when you don't, or like have it in your food or something, she was like, you're probably just shouldn't have it. And she was like, so we can continue with these tests if you want, but if not, she was like, then I think you got your answer. And I was like, okay, fair enough, you're right. Dairy is in everything. So things that I would figure it out. I'd either get sick, or like I'd like look at the ingredients, or like, and things, just everything has dairy. Dairy is so unnecessary. Like, why did you just throw that in there? Like, why? But I'm getting through. That didn't help. So for a year, I'm like figuring stuff out, and I think the biggest dairy like switcheroony for me was like I had a Starbucks coffee every day, and I had to figure out what non-dairy thing I preferred versus milk, because I had like a caramel macchiato like every day. So at that point I switch over. I'm trying out almond milk and I'm trying out soy milk, and I like my coffee iced, and I hate almond milk with coffee with iced coffee for whatever reason. I don't like it. Hot coffee, almond is fine, but I always had to have my iced coffee. So I like soy. So I am having like a venti cup of soy milk every single day for like 2 years, okay? But anyways, I'm not consuming dairy, and I realized that the caramel drizzle in the caramel macchiato is made with sweetened condensed milk, which is dairy, so like why? So I switched it up to like a vanilla latte, and I got a vanilla latte with soy milk like every day for like until recently, because soy can mess with your hormones. Soy is an estrogen mimicker, and I still don't completely know what all that means, but a very specific, like, you know, whenever you're at church and you feel like the preacher is talking to everybody, but you feel like he's talking to you. I had that moment when I was listening to Ingrid Delamarquini's podcast, Pardon My French, and she specifically hit on why estrogen mimickers such as soy or other things can mess with your hormones. And it was like, you're losing all this weight, or you're like at the gym and you're working out every day and you're eating right, and you can't figure out why you still have a little pudge in your midsection. I don't even like calling it a pudge or whatever. It's a little pudge. I don't like to call it a muffin top or fat. It's a little pudge. And that was so weird to me because I have lost 58 pounds in the past 2.5, 3-ish years, right? 58 pounds. And the last thing I gained weight in was my stomach. So I assumed that the first place that I'd get my flat stomach back, I thought that would be the first place I'd get it back. And that was not happening. I was still having this pudge, and I was like, oh, that's so weird. Like, maybe it's like I need to be doing other things, that sort of thing. I was like just kind of waiting for it to just come off. And she explained that specific extra weight in your midsection, that little pudge I've got, and I'm doing all the other things right, could be due to a hormone imbalance. And I was like, I have literally a cup of soy every day. I bet my hormones are messed up. So I figure out a different solution for not having soy. I don't like iced coffee, so this has helped kick my expensive Starbucks habit. I still have it. I'll still get a hot coffee with almond milk every now and then, sometimes on the weekends, but Ingrid has helped me to I'll dive more into like inulin. And okay, so I have figured out how to make a coffee that I love at home / at work, because I work at someone's house, so like I make stuff at home. But yeah, I never liked the coffee I made at home. I just couldn't figure it out. So that has helped like a ton. Like my stomach is already getting flatter, and I am cardio queen. I love cardio. I love running is like my happy place, and I love going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week and just getting on the Stairmaster for like 30 minutes to an hour and just putting on a podcast or watching Netflix or watching YouTube and like just zoning out. I'm sweating and it's great. I love it. But I'm just like, you know, like or listen to music if you like. I just prefer watching things while I go climb the Stairmaster. And I have lost literally like, I'm not saying that inulin is the only source of my latest like weight loss, but it's definitely made me more aware of what I'm putting into my body, what these things I'm putting in my body are doing. Are they benefiting it? And like, just, you know, like I do not look up every single ingredient, every single thing. Do I do it for a lot of things? Yes. I was starting to get a little obsessive about it, so I am doing my own research into people and finding people that I think I can trust, who have opinions or who say this is what is good, you know. So Ingrid Delamarquini from her Pardon My French podcast, her Instagram is Simply Gangster Chic, or Ingrid Delamarquini. I love the Skinny Confidential. We all have very similar lifestyles and diet styles, so I trust what they have to say and what they recommend, because I know how deeply they research things. Like, they research it as deeply as I would. So if there's something that, like, I'm not sure about, or, like, sometimes it's easier if they, like, you know, Dr. Mona Vand, I really like what she has to say. So I trust their food advice. And if you guys have more, I would love some recommendations. I love this sort of thing. It's so up my alley. But yeah, so I have lost 58 pounds, basically, like, consistently going to the gym, like, I'd say at least 3 days a week, for sometimes more, like, for the past, like, 3 years, just, like, doing whatever I'm feeling, and I have so much energy. I feel so great. Like, I'm not, like, foggy. My head's not foggy. I'm just, like, I feel fine. I feel great. I feel so energetic and happy, and I love the way I look. I'm still not where I want to be. I have lost, 58 pounds is a lot of weight, and I've been doing it healthy, and this last 8 pounds, actually, I don't weigh myself that much, but I weighed myself, and it was like, I was like, is the scale broken? Because I was like 8 pounds down, like, in a few weeks, and that was like, I was really not working out a lot. Like, I might have run a few miles in there and maybe gone to the gym 4 times in like 6 weeks, and just doing like a few things at home, and like I do yoga and stretching at night. So it was really just my diet, like what I was putting in my body to nourish it, is I was losing. So yeah, but that's just like my little backstory / tangent on, like, oh no, that's not even all, right? So we got into that soy thing it was almost exactly a year ago. I was like, I took the dairy out, right? It's been a year since I've had a year and a half since I, like, cut the dairy thing out, and I was still kind of not feeling that great, right? So I was like, I'm gonna go get food allergy tested for common food allergies, because I wanted to know and be aware. And I was like, whatever. So I got food allergy tested, and turns out I'm, like, pretty highly allergic to chicken. Random. That was actually interesting. I did know people could be allergic to chicken, because one of my brothers was allergic to chicken since he was little. And why I didn't even make the correlation between me and him is because he is adopted, so our, like, blood and chemicals and chemistry and DNA aren't the same. So I would have never thought that. But my whole family, like, obviously we knew you could be allergic to chicken because he was allergic to chicken. So I'm pretty highly allergic to chicken. Beef is pretty high up there, and obviously dairy, and there were a few other things in there that, like, I was like, I'm not really. I did have, like, a small intolerance to soy, but even at that point I was like, I didn't know how to function without soy. So I do now. But they're still in, like, soy is an ingredient, a trace ingredient in some things that I do still use, but not on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I'm very careful. If I have, like, a dinner here or there, like, it's got to be about balance. I'm gonna get too obsessive about it, so I let it go. And then, so yeah, right? Chicken, I was like, they were like, I almost would need an EpiPen for it. And I was like, ooh, I have not touched chicken since that day. Now, beef, I loved burgers. And I was like, well, if it's just like a sensitivity and I'm not going to die from eating it, I was like, I'll just have it every now and then, it'll be fine. So that was right around the holidays. It was the day before Thanksgiving is when I had this test. So I didn't really do an elimination diet until after my, I didn't do an elimination diet until after the holidays. So, like, Thanksgiving I don't think I quite got all the way to Christmas yet. So at the end of Thanksgiving, and just 2 weeks, I'm just vegan, completely vegan, right? I've eliminated like everything. And I loved me a Five Guys burger. So me and Carter went to Five Guys, got a burger, and sure enough, I was like, my face and chest were like hot. They like, you know how like, I guess like a blushing feeling, but like super intense blushing on my entire face and chest. And I like was red and so splotchy on my face and chest. And I was like, do you think this is because of the burger? And he was like, I mean, it could be, but you're probably just like worrying, right? Like you're probably just making yourself feel like this. I was like, okay. A few weeks later, back to the vegan elimination, and we went to my friend's birthday, and they had this guy making tacos there, and we're over here. I ate so many beef tacos, right? It was steak, right? It's beef. So I ate so many of those. They were so good. And that night, I could not sleep. I was itchy from head to toe. I'm not kidding when I say head to toe. My scalp was itchy, everything in between, the bottom of my feet. It was insane. So I've not messed with beef since then. So I'm randomly not allergic or intolerant or sensitive to pork at all. And I was kind of scared because I was like, well, shoot, what if I am? Like, what if it's, you know, I was like trying to avoid animal products besides fish, right? So I'm still very, very plant-based, but I can't have pork, and like I enjoy cooking and stuff. So I do implement pork into my diet as well. So tons of veggies, lots of fruit, seafood, like tuna, salmon, scallops, and crab, lobster, all that. Not that I have crab and lobster all the time, but I do have like salmon or scallops like every night during the week. But I do have pork, so like whether that's bacon or like I'm experimenting right now. So but it's like a lot of fun, and I'm learning how to make food really good on its own without just like condiments or sauces and things, because I'm like a huge sauce person still, don't get me wrong, but like I'm like, wow, if food can stand alone without like cheese, it's really good. So it's been a lot of fun. So that is like my little summary of my up-to-date like health and weight loss journey and wellness. I want to say plant-based. Like the base of my diet is plants, is fruit and vegetables. And I'm not vegan. I cook a lot of vegan stuff, but I do still have pork and seafood. Yep. But yeah, that's my little story. And yeah, I hope, and if you guys have any questions or tips or tricks or advice, not tricks because like it's like just a lifestyle, there's no hacks, but yeah, I would love to get like just more ideas and stuff. So if you guys have any, hit me up. Bye, dolls.